My name is Dr. Ed Picardi. I am a general surgeon. I am in solo practice in Rapid City and in South Dakota. It is a great pleasure for me to be on a college campus that is known so well for its engineering background, because before I became a doctor, my first degree was in engineering. My major was in bioengineering and my minor was in mechanical engineering. And I think engineering is one of the best fields that a person could go into. So I'm hoping that there are some engineering students in this room. May I begin? Okay. Being an engineer, I think like an engineer. And I think that makes me a good surgeon. I think, as I said, engineering is the best field a person can go into in the sciences. I think all aspects of engineering are absolutely fantastic, except for social engineering. Social engineering is when the government comes in with policies to try to mold or orchestrate the society into something that it is not. Mussolini, Hitler, Stalin, Marx, Lenin, Pol Pot of the Khmer Rouge, all encompassed and embraced some aspect of social engineering. Now, don't confuse social engineering with Nazism. It's not the helmets and the boots and the guns. Social engineering, it's quiet, it's slow, and it's progressive, hence the name progressive. We do not have a healthcare crisis in the United States, at least not yet. Those of us who wish to see ObamaCare repealed believe this is not about healthcare, but this is a means for social engineering to mold and change our country into something which it is not. The use of healthcare as a means to advance social engineering is not new with ObamaCare. You can go back all the way through the progressive movement, even to the 1920s, when you had people like Margaret Sanger, who was a strong proponent for eugenics. And she felt to achieve eugenics, the best means would be through abortion, especially to curtail the rise of the black race and the yellow race, who she felt was a plague on society. And in order to advance her motive of using abortion for eugenics, she then founded Planned Parenthood. And you carry the progressive movement in healthcare all through the years, till now to ObamaCare, where you have Ezekiel Emanuel, the advisor to President Obama, stating that money needs to be curtailed for the extremes of age, to curtail spending for the extreme old and for the extreme young. You have Rahm Emanuel, also advisor to President Obama, stating, don't ever let a good crisis go to waste, meaning let's use a crisis to instill some aspect of social manipulation, social engineering. You have Dr. Donald Berwick, who was appointed by President Obama to head the Center of Medicare and Medicaid, who was appointed as a recessed appointment so we wouldn't have to hear his opinions. And we now know his opinions that he favors a single-payer system, similar to the British system, whereby in the British system, a person who's worked his whole life now has to wait on average of 3.8 years to have his hip surgery done. And if he happens to die between now and 3.8 years, look how much money he saved. Or even worse, that person not be allowed to have his hip surgery at all, to simply stay home, no longer be productive, take narcotics, take pain pills. And in the words of President Obama's own mouth, why have the surgery when you can simply take a pill instead? Those are the words out of President Obama's own mouth. Regarding the single-payer system, the single-payer system creates unrealistic mandates into the private sector, which basically force insurance companies to fail. And when the insurance companies fail, this then allows the government to step in with their government-run health benefits exchanges. Section 1311 through 1321. And regarding the Health and Human Services, we have people like Tom Donahue, who's the head of the United States Chamber of Commerce, who just 2 months ago advocated the repeal of ObamaCare. The head of the United States Chamber of Commerce said that ObamaCare is unworkable. And he said it gives extraordinary powers to the Health and Human Services to redefine health care as we now know it. That's Tom Donahue. You see examples of social engineering in the funding for ObamaCare. For instance, half of the funding, $540 billion, is pulled away from hospitals, from Medicare Advantage, from home health, from nursing homes, from hospices. Take note of that population. Now, those are not my numbers. Those are the numbers from the Congressional Budget Office and also the numbers from the Center for Medicare and Medicaid. That's those numbers. $540 billion. And that money doesn't go back into the pocket of the patients. That money goes in to fund 159 new agencies and new bureaus, each of which has some aspect of social engineering. We engineers understand the importance of a solid foundation. If you don't have a sound foundation, your structure does not achieve the goal that it's intended. We engineers understand that if you don't have a solid foundation, the cost to maintain that structure is much higher than ever intended. Obamacare does not have a sound foundation. Remember in Christmas of '09 when it passed. Remember what was happening on TV. There was no time to debate. There was urgency. We had to pass Obamacare now. No time for debate. It had to be passed now. Why? Because the presidency was on the line. The people who passed it, the Democrats, were saying, we must pass Obamacare because we cannot allow our president to fail. We must pass Obamacare now, no debate. And it passed the Senate. Now, there was not a lot of talk back then about, well, is this the best thing for the patients? It was, we must pass Obamacare now, we must not let a president fail. And Obamacare passed the Senate. And then when Obamacare passed the House, well, it really never did pass the House. If you remember what Nancy Pelosi did, the Speaker of the House, she did a maneuver. She deemed it in law. It was a maneuver she did. She deemed Obamacare in law, meaning that we will act as if Obamacare had already been voted on and passed. She deemed it in law. That's what happened in the House. Never before in the history of the Republic has a bill ever become law of this significance by deeming it in law, this maneuver. And never before in the history of our Republic has a bill become law when it could not even pass the vote of its own Congress. Now, you can't blame the Republicans for this. There were enough Democrats in the House and the Senate to pass Obamacare, but they couldn't get enough votes even to pass and protect their own president. So Nancy Pelosi, she deemed this in law, never passed. We hear how they say that there are 47 million people uninsured. That number is varied from 30 to 50, 47 million uninsured. What they don't say that half of them, 23 million, are people between 18 and 30 who are in good health, who say, I'll get health care when I'm a little older. I can afford it, I don't want to buy it now. They don't tell us that 12.5 million of those people are people that are illegal aliens that are included in that 47 million. They don't say how 14 million of those people are people who are already eligible for Medicare and Medicaid and S-CHIP and who simply haven't applied. They haven't told you that people like Jennifer, who works in my office, we hired her in the middle of the month. She waited until the beginning of the next month to have her health insurance started. She was uninsured for 12 days. She would have been considered one of those 47 million people. Now, if this really were about getting insurance for everybody, wouldn't you think that they would try to take every plan they can to try to get as many people covered as possible? One of the things that my side wanted to do, we wanted to say, well, let us buy our health insurance on the internet across state line, anywhere in the United States. I get my car insurance from Texas, but I can only buy my health insurance in South Dakota. The economists say that that one little change would insure 12 to 14 million people. And they say that one little change would drop insurance premiums between 40 and 60%. The people who supported Obamacare, we don't want that in the bill. Why not? Why not? It wouldn't cost a single taxpayer dollar. It would insure a third or a fourth of the people who are uninsured. The people who wanted Obamacare, we don't want that in the bill. Why not? Because it does not allow for social engineering, no manipulation of the society. What is a fact that half of the 47 million people are dumped into Medicaid, which is welfare. Now, Kevin and I are doctors. We have some surgeons here. Of all the cancers that I ever see, the worst cancer I have ever seen is welfare. It doesn't just kill a person. It doesn't kill families. It kills communities. It kills entire cities. If you don't believe me, go take a ride over to Pine Ridge. See what happens when an entire city is predominantly welfare. It kills everything. Now, in Obamacare, half of these people are now placed in Medicaid. Now, Catherine Sebelius, who is the Secretary of the Health and Human Services, says eventually 100% of that money is going to come from the state. Now, that's the little secret about Medicaid, about welfare. The funding for Medicaid doesn't all come down from the federal government. It comes up from the states. And when it comes from the states have to take away funding for things like schools and their roads and their police department to fund that. Because the states have to balance their budget. In fact, the states are saying, we don't even think that's legal. We don't think you can force us to buy this stuff without giving us the option. So in fact, the majority of the states have filed lawsuits. 26 states, including South Dakota, filed lawsuits against Obamacare. And the judge says, yes, the states are right. They can't force you to do this. They can't force you to do this mandate. Another secret about Medicaid is Section 501, where more and more people are going to go into Medicaid. Obamacare says Section 501 that a person can be fined by not buying health insurance. So a person says, well, I don't want to be fined. I don't want to buy health insurance. I'm going to welfare. That will occur. You hear a lot about the waivers. There's been 1,040 waivers from Health and Human Services in the last year for people to be for waivers against Obamacare. These were waivers to companies. Many of these were unions, and many of these were companies that actually supported Obamacare. 2.4 million people have been given waivers against Obamacare. And these are companies that says, well, we'll help you get it in law, but we want to be exempted from it. Congress is exempted from it, Section 330. They're exempted from Obamacare also. They're not a part of it. In fact, in the last year, there has been 544,000 requests for information using the Freedom of Information Act. Say, I want to find out about these waivers. And the answers are not coming. In fact, Maine just got a massive waiver against Obamacare, which gives up another constitutional challenge, the 14th Amendment, unequal protection under the law. Why is Maine treated differently than South Dakota is? Now, Kevin and I actually both agree on a lot. We want something better for our patients. And as a solo practitioner, I can tell you I hate insurance companies more than anybody in this room. But the people who like Obamacare, they say, we realize there's a lot of bad things, but what about these little things here? We like these little things. Let's ignore these bad things for the little things. My side says, well, let's take these little things, and let's take the little things we like and make it into something better. They say that Obamacare is going to increase the rates of insurance companies. The Congressional Budget Office says you're going to get a 30% increase in the rates. They say 10 million Americans, according to the Congressional Budget Office, are going to lose their insurance that they currently have now because of those rates. The New England Journal of Medicine just came out with a study saying half the doctors are going to quit because of Obamacare. As an engineer, I would consider our healthcare system as an electric generator that gives power to 93% of the population, because there's only about 3 to 7% uninsured. It's the best electric generator that's ever been made. But it's running too fast, and the drive shaft is not balanced, so it's vibrating. My side says, let's analyze that, let's cut down the throttle, balance the shaft, and let's get another 7% efficiency to get 100% from the best generator that's ever been made. The Obamacare supporter says, no, let's scrap that. Let's use this generator over here. This generator that's never been successful in the past. This generator that's been rejected by China, that's been rejected by Russia, that's just now been rejected by Greece. But what we're going to do, we're going to put a plaque on that generator saying approved by the United States government. That's Obamacare. I said, no, let's not scrap the best electric generator ever made. Let's get another 4 to 7% efficiency. Let's make that 100%. Because remember, Obama himself said Obamacare is only the beginning. Only the beginning. A couple of facts. There's a lot of manipulation of the facts you see. That little fact that just came out now, that 26-year-old coverage for students, everybody likes that. Wisconsin, North Carolina, Oregon, the insurance company says that's going to increase your premiums another 10%. Then part about pre-existing conditions mandated by Obamacare. WellPoint says that's going to double everybody's insurance premiums. And that's going to, again, cause 10 million Americans to lose. So no, we don't want Obamacare. It's failed in every nation on the planet. It's not health care. It's about social engineering.